Welcome to the Global Impact virtual conference hosted by ISTE community leaders. My name is Dr. Jacqueline R. Burr-Morman. I'm an educator in our middle school in Iowa, which is in the United States. This session, titled Social Emotional Learning is Global Learning, will focus on the CASEL Social Emotional Learning Standards and how those standards connect to global education. As an Iowa educator, I teach 6th grade social studies. I'm a 6th through 12th grade interventionalist, and I'm also our 6th through 12th grade school improvement coordinator. My email is listed on this slide along with my social media handles. I'd love to collaborate and network with you so we can learn from each other. The purpose of this presentation has 4 distinct areas. We're going to define social emotional learning. We're going to explain the 5 competencies of the CASEL framework. We're going to connect social emotional learning to global education and also discuss the impact of social emotional learning and global education. So what is SEL? Social emotional learning is a process which children and adults acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage their emotions. They set and achieve positive goals, they feel and show empathy for others, and they establish and maintain positive relationships while also making responsible decisions. As we learn together today, one thing I want us to remember, that all learning, whether student or adult learning, is social, and all learning is also emotional. The Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, otherwise known as CASEL, is a social emotional framework to teach, implement, and practice skills for students and adults' emotional development. Specific areas within the CASEL framework include self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and relationship goals. When these areas are taught and reinforced within classrooms, students continue to grow in their social emotional development, which not only affects their own lives, but it has an impact on their classrooms, schools, their families and caregivers, and their communities. One of the first areas within the CASEL framework is self-awareness. CASEL defines self-awareness as the abilities to understand one's own emotions, thoughts, and values and how they influence behavior across contexts. This includes integrating personal and social identities, identifying personal, cultural, and linguistic assets, identifying one's emotions, demonstrating honesty and integrity, linking feelings and values and thoughts, examining prejudices and biases, experiencing self-efficacy, having a growth mindset, and developing interest and a sense of purpose in life. Another area within the CASEL framework includes self-management. CASEL defines self-management as the ability to manage one's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors effectively in different situations and to achieve goals and aspirations. This includes impulse control, stress management, self-discipline and self-motivation, goal setting, and organizational skills. The third part of the CASEL framework includes responsible decision-making. This area is defined by CASEL as the abilities to make caring and constructive choices about personal behavior and social interactions across diverse situations. Skills included in this area are identifying problems, analyzing situations and solving problems, evaluating situations and actions of self and others, and also reflecting on those situations and actions, and then practicing ethical responsibility. The fourth part of the CASEL framework includes social awareness. This is defined by CASEL as the abilities to understand the perspectives and empathize with others, including those from diverse backgrounds, cultures, and contexts. Skills included in this area are taking others' perspectives, recognizing strengths in others, demonstrating empathy and compassion, showing concern for the feelings of others, understanding and expressing gratitude, identifying diverse social norms, including unjust ones, recognizing situational demands and opportunities, and understanding the influence of organization and systems on various behaviors. And the last part of the CASEL framework is the relationship skills. This area is defined by CASEL as the abilities to establish and maintain healthy and supportive relationships and to effectively navigate settings with diverse individuals and groups. Skills in this area include communication, social engagement, building relationships with others and maintaining them, and working together effectively within a team. So what are the effects of social emotional learning with students? When we continue to teach social emotional learning, students become aware of their actions and their behaviors and their interactions with others. This is why this is so important, because students are continually doing this throughout their day, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. When students are aware of their actions, behaviors, and interactions with others, they begin to start recognizing the world around them. When students recognize the world around them, they may want to begin to find ways to improve the world in which they live in. One of the main priorities of the CASEL framework includes implementing positive action through civic learning. CASEL states that by integrating social emotional learning and civic learning, students have opportunities to develop skills and relationships needed to participate as caring and engaged community members. Students begin to think critically about how they can make a difference and then work together to create those solutions to the problems and concerns they're seeing. When students recognize the world around them, they're able to recognize perspectives. They begin to recognize their own perspectives in various situations, events, and issues. They begin to examine those perspectives of other people and groups of people. And they begin to recognize cultural interactions that influence various events and situations around the world. Now, when students begin to recognize the world around them, they also begin to communicate their ideas. They begin to recognize and express how information is perceived by others, and they're able to listen to those ideas that are the same and different from their own. And they communicate effectively with various groups of people using those appropriate social emotional learning skills. Students are able to then use technology effectively to communicate their ideas with others and to also reflect on their own impact within the world. In my global education class for middle school students, we focus on social emotional skills through a global education lens. We learn, practice, and implement SEL skills through investigating the world, learning about others' perspectives, both those in the classroom and outside of the classroom, communicate our ideas with each other and those beyond our school walls, and then create action projects to influence the lives of others in positive ways. Through the SEL and global education lens, students' learning in this global studies course is focused on our United Nations Sustainable Developmental Goals. Through their investigation, they learn perspectives from around the world. They analyze the reality in which people and animals and living things are living in, and also began to understand local, national, and global concerns. When students are able to recognize perspectives and then communicate those ideas and their own perspectives, they start to have an impact on environments. And this is really important for social emotional learning and global learning. When students have a positive impact on their environment, it causes positive change. This positive change then happens not only in their own personal life, but in the lives of others. Global education is knowing where you are in the world and then being interconnected with other parts of the world, not just within your local community, but within your bigger community of your county or your state or within your nation, and then within the world, and realizing that you can have an impact on the world. When students learn about the world, they begin to think about and understand perspectives, while also communicating with others about their learning. They are then able to take steps to make positive change within their own personal life and ultimately the world. For my own students, they have implemented 2 separate food drives to assist our local food bank. One student collaborated with our agriculture teacher and set up a compost system from our school lunches to use in our school greenhouse. One group of students created a presentation on the impact of women within our country. This was shown at lunch for younger students so they begin to see the impact of women's leadership. 2 groups of students are wanting to plan a 5K yet this school year to support a local cause, and another student wants to volunteer time and resources at an animal shelter. These students are middle school students. They continually practice their SEL social skills while learning about their world. They are recognizing that they have power to make a positive difference in the world and that their impact has meaning. All of the projects that they have created, they're using their social emotional learning skills, and they're looking at it, they're using those skills through that global learning lens, which is helping them see that they can make a difference. We have to remember as educators that all learning is social and all teaching is also social. Students need to be able to interact with each other, with ourselves, beyond the school community. We also have to remember that all learning is emotional and all teaching is emotional. That's why implementing and providing direct instruction and having students practice their social emotional skills is so important. And we also have to remember that all learning is global and all teaching is global. While I live in rural Iowa, my students can't always leave our state or our country to go visit parts of the world. It's my job as an educator to bring the world to my classroom. This is why social emotional learning and global education are so important to implement in our schools. Thanks again for watching this session as part of a Global Impact virtual conference hosted by ISTE Community Leaders. Please watch other sessions, including these pre-recorded and those offered live. You can join the conversation throughout the conference on ISTE Connect and social media using hashtag ISTE Global and ISTE Community. Thank you, and keep having a global impact and a social emotional learning impact on your students.